Right then, I think we're good to go. Yes, we are. Right, welcome back to Revolution Season number 13, Tier 3. It is time for round 8 of the season here at Silverstone. We return after a 1 week break to resume this season, the second half. And we're doing that at a track none other than Silverstone. One of the most iconic tracks in Formula 1 history. And on this calendar as well, and in fact it's a double header, because next week we will be running at Silverstone again, but at the reverse layout for the first time being introduced on this game. But tonight we have got the normal layout of Silverstone on our hands, which is always a good track for league racing as well. So we kick off with qualifying right now, 18 minutes as per usual. Apologies if I do sound a little bit ill. I was a few days ago, so still recovering a little bit. Won't go too race tonight, but we take a look at the championship standings. Alpha High Wall, he is in the lead by quite the distance. He leads by 105 points. Towards Lennon's it's 61, so he leads by 44 points over the McLaren driver. So quite the advantage he has right now at the top of the standings. Dark Assassin P3 in the championship, 1 point behind Lennon's Ivy in P4, though he has dropped out of the championship unfortunately, so he will not be racing anymore. And replacing him is this man right now, making his debut actually in a full-time C as well, so good to see him racing tonight. Let's see what he's going to be able to do in that Aston Martin that has been quite quick so far this season. He's in the hands of Ivy Bellabot, has struggled a little bit so far, but he has also shown some good pace. Let's see what he's going to be able to do tonight. He's one of the first drivers out there to start his flying lap. Aston Martin sits in the championship, 74 points. The championship leaders are Williams with 110. They lead by 1 point only over Alpine. In fact, Alpine, they've got 109 points, and 105 of those are from Alpha High Wall alone. So Alpha High Wall definitely running a one-man team at the moment. So Alpine second in the championship. The top three is actually incredibly close. 4 points separate them. Williams, Alpine and Kick Sauber in P3 at 106. So the championship fight definitely not over yet. In the constructors at least, it might be in the driver standings, but you never know what can happen. If Alpha High Wall has a bad weekend, it could change around. As next he's the first driver to set a lap time, a 1:28.0 as a bank lap, and Aaron goes faster. Ballabot goes even faster, 1:26.2. 8.3 right now, the fastest time so far in this session, as his teammate goes up into P3. The Darkin as Barney goes second in the McLaren, 26.5. Ozan in Red Bull, he goes P5. Next up is one of the Ferraris, that is, I think, Dark Assassin starting his flying lap, and then we have the two Sauber drivers. Blitz Hyper goes up to P3, 26.9. Puts him on the second row for now. What about his teammate Harry in the other Sauber? Has been quite quick this season as well. He goes just ahead of his teammate. Blitz Hyper, of course, not a full-time Sauber driver in Tier 3. In fact, he is a Tier 5 driver for Sauber as well, but he occasionally drives in Tier 3 as well. And he has shown some good pace. He's won the Chinese Grand Prix, although it was a little bit of a controversial one. To my understanding, I wasn't there for that race, but he did win that one ahead of Arbon by 0.3 of a second. So a Tier 5 driver winning a Tier 3 race, but he's quite quick, and he might be getting that promotion next season, who knows. But still, a lot of drivers out there who still need to set a lap time. Murat in the Ferrari is one of those, but he has just invalidated, so he's not going to be able to do that. What about Dark Assassin in the other Ferrari? He has backed off And Albon in the Red Bull, making his way through Maggots and Beckett. Out of turns 13 and 14. And onto the Hangar Straight to start the final sector. Now go into the quick right-hander of Stowe. And then downhill into the braking zone of the final chicane. Very tricky to get right. Have to be careful with applying the throttle on exit. And let's see what this lap time is going to be. He goes up to P5. He did drive yesterday in Tier 1. And I think he said he could have done a 26.2 on his final lap, but he invalidated, unfortunately. So he definitely has got the pace. But sometimes it's just very easy to just cross that white line. But at the moment he is up to P5 in the 26s. But still Balaboten on top by 0.3 of a second. But half the field needs to set a lap time. Godzilla in the Alpine has started. Zelix in the Mercedes has done so as well. The Zelix we know is very quick in qualifying, but most of the times unable to convert it into a good race result. In fact, if we look at the championship standings, I don't think he's on there in the top 20. No, he's not. That just shows the lack, well, I wouldn't say the lack of race pace, but definitely struggles more in the races compared to the qualifyings. And he hasn't really been able to get a lot of points on the board. But who knows, today might be different. I do know he struggles with track limits a lot as well, and he has said before this race that he's going to try and get to follow the footsteps of Jesus, who we know never gets a track limit. In fact, I checked it after last week's race, 2 weeks ago. In all races that Jesus has done, he's participated in 41 Tier 3 races, and in not a single one of those races has he got himself a 3-second time penalty or any track limit penalty, which is just mad to think about. The incredible consistency that he has had. 41 consecutive races without a track limit penalty. Insane achievement, and it's probably going to be 42 after tonight. Zelix though, unable to keep it between the white lines on this lap. He ran out wide through Chapel, just at the end of the second sector. Godzilla in the meantime is going to P11. And speaking of Jesus, he has just started his flying lap as well. It's one of the Saubers getting onto the grass there through Lovefield. Lennon's ahead, just starting his flying lap as well. Knows that he needs to outperform Alpha Highball if he wants to have any chance of fighting for this championship. Because at the moment it just seems to be slipping away from him after having such a good start to the season. Alpha Highball, by the way, goes up to P5 with a 26.8. So Lennon's knows that is the time he already needs to beat so far in qualifying. Out of the final corner, a bit of a slide there for Jesus. And he is going to go up to P7. A 26.9, the exact same lap time as Blitz Hyper, but to be fair to him, quite a good lap time, because we know that Jesus is usually not the strongest in qualifying. In those 41 races that he has participated in, he started inside the top 10 on only 12 occasions. All the others outside the top 10. But at the moment he finds himself in P7. So a great banker lap, and there's still time to find as Balaboten goes quicker. A 26.0. He is showing some rapid pace tonight, because at the moment he is clear of the rest of the field by over half a second to Barney in second place, who's also doing a very good job. Both of those drivers quite low in the championship. Yeah, let's hope Red Bull can get a good result tonight. We haven't had the strongest starts of the week, though I'm not sure what the results was in Tier 6. Oh, yeah, actually Hive got a podium in Tier 6, so at least That was a good one, but Tier 1 was a disaster for me. And Arbon as well didn't have a great time. And Tier 2 wasn't great either, so we need some good points as Red Bull. So, let's see if they're going to be able to do that. Albon, in the meantime, he's got up to second place, matching Barney's time. As Mahmoudev goes to the front row, and now Harry does. In Kickstarter, under 0.2 of a second now, still behind Balabotan, who was the quickest driver so far in qualifying. We know Dark Assassin is usually quick in qualifying, Lennon's should be as well, and Zelig, so still 3 drivers out there who hasn't set a lap time yet, who we know can be quite competitive in qualifying, so we'll wait and see what they are going to be able to do. 115 points already, yeah. You can never have enough though. My lead has shrunk significantly after yesterday. But I do appreciate the kind words. Of course. Dark Assassin then. Corners to go. And let's see what this lap will be. No, not the quickest, that is for sure. 27.2 only. Puts in P15. That's quite a disappointment. They must have made a bit of a mistake on that lap. Skinner goes to P6. You could never do any wrong. So encouraging. I was searching for the right word, but that's the word I'm looking for. Just brings that positive energy to the team. Critical skills. No, without that encouragement, without that positive energy, I would have been able to score any of those 150 points. So. Let's see how the Ripple boys are getting on. Arbon has started his second attempt, and he is not improving. Exactly, bring the vibes. Very, very important. Equally as important as getting the points, in my opinion. As Wardy has invalidated, he finds himself on P7. Wardy, a bit of a unremarkable season so far. I know he hasn't raced every single race. He is 8th in championship. I think he's been on the podium at least once. Which I don't really remember. Let's find out. In Melbourne he ran out of fuel, I think, on the final lap. Then in Brazil he did not race. Yeah, second in Singapore, but a bit overshadowed by test wheel driving, who is now a tier 2 driver, because he absolutely dominated that race. So you could argue that Wardy was the real winner of that Singapore race. And then round 4 was at Dakota, he finished 7th. And then I think he missed the Chinese Grand Prix and the Austrian Grand Prix, and then he returned last week in Canada, where he finished an unremarkable P8. So not the Wardy we used to know in Tier 3. Do hope he gets back into his form soon. You know, he used to be in the championship fights back in season 9 against Deep Ball, although it was called Tier 2 back then. And the fight with Jesus, I think, as well. 10th Cannon, a couple of seasons ago. Great times though, that was. Actually, this race, Silverstone, was one of the better races in Tier 3. I'm not sure which season it was, might have been 11, I think, maybe. Had a great race here, but plenty of accident. Wardy won that race. I think it was 3 wide on this straight on the final lap with Jesus and someone else, and Wardy took the lead there and won the race. Was incredible race. Not sure which season it was. In the meantime, Barney has improved to go into the front row again. We're surprised by Barney's pace suddenly, because he hasn't really been able to show that so far. Has he even raced in Tier 3? I swear he did. Maybe he hasn't. I don't even know. I've been out of it for 2 weeks and now I don't remember anything. Either way, Godzilla's retired from the session. He will be starting down at P19, probably P20. Only Lennons needs to improve, needs to set a lap time, which he's trying to do right now in the other McLaren. I think he's running the default McLaren livery, and Barney is using the Silverstone, the chrome livery. That's one way to tell them apart in this race. And in fact, Barney has retired from the session, so he must be at the end of the session. Then the final few runs as Lennons throws it into Cobb's corner, flat out in qualifying. Definitely not in the race in dirty air. I can predict already what's going to happen on lap 1. You're going to see quite a few drivers running wide, going into Cobb's corner, way too optimistic, and finding out they're in the dirty air, and the car will not turn in at all, and they will just completely run out wide. I did it as well, to be fair, in Tier 1, so it's gonna happen. But Dark Assassin goes up to P5, misses out by 3 thousandths to his teammate Mahmudev. That is where he is going to start. Zenix in P13. As Lennons improves up to P9. I say improves, it's his first lap time, and it's his only lap time. That is where he's going to be starting in this race. Currently ahead of Alpha Ball, but Alpha Ball still has the chance to improve. Nexer stays down in P19. Mahmudev stays in P4. Alpha Highball improves up to P5. No, back to back pole positions for the Alpine. What about the Red Bulls? Ozan, P13. Then we look at Balaboten. Can he go even faster? Yes, he can. 25.7. Brilliant improvement, brilliant lap. And he's at the front by 0.3 of a second. Harry has invalidated. He will not be improving. Is there anyone out there who can match or challenge Balaboten's time? Wardy goes up to P7. Twoosh Terry is up by 1/10 of a second. That is not going to be anywhere near enough to beat that lap time, but he does go up to P8 in his return. Arbon in P17 is up by 4.5 tenths, improves his time to P9 with a 26.5. It's a decent attempt, and he starts inside the top 10 as Arbon is on an outlap, which I can already tell he's not going to be able to make it. But that is the end then of qualifying, and Balaboten is on pole position by 0.3 of a second. Where did that come from? From the Aston Martin driver, brilliant pace he has shown. And he is going to start this race from the front of the field. He's going to have to contend with Harry on the front row. Barney starts in P3 with Mahmudev in P4, Alpha High Wall and Dark Assassin in 5th and 6th place. Wardy, Twoosh Terry, Arbon and Aaron in P9 and 10. Then it's Skinner, Michael, Lennons, Blitz, Hyper, Ozone, Jesus in P16, still outside the top 10. Even after the promising first run. Zedix in P17. So Zedix, if he wants to follow the footsteps of Jesus, he certainly can. Just has to follow him on track. He starts right behind him. The Dark and Atrox in P18 on debut. Next in P19 and Godzilla starts in P20. It beat the tier 2 pole time. Yeah, it is a brilliant lap from Balaboten. What was tier 2 pole? Was it in 25? 25.7 is mad, actually. I know it's nowhere near tier 1 pole, but of course it's to be expected. I think tier 1 pole was low 25. Yeah, it was a 25.2. Only half a second off tier 1 pole. Wow. What a lap from Balabotan. And it is not raining, but it is quite overcast. So I do wonder if there is any rain in the air. Get him promoted. Oh, the classic. Well, let's see if he's going to be able to win this race first. I don't think he's ever got a podium yet in tier 3 even. He's sat P15 in the championship on just 14 points. And now finally has got himself his first pole position. Yeah, let's promote him to tier 1. Can clearly match their times. He might have even... Did he? Don't tell me he beat my lap time. Oh, he did. He did. By quite a lot, actually. He's 4 tenths quicker than me. But I will have to add the 26.1 I set yesterday in tier 1 qualifying was my first lap on this game in 2 weeks' time. I hadn't played the game and I hadn't touched my wheel because I was on holiday, and it was my first lap and I didn't improve on my second one, so that's my defense. But still, a tier 3 driver beat me by 4 tenths of a second. It's not looking good. A tier 3 driver sitting P15 in the championship goes 4 tenths faster than the tier 1 championship leader. That's going to be the headline. Tier 3 driver destroys tier 1 champion. Washed, yeah. Maybe. I really don't hope so. Qualifying has always been a weakness. But all jokes aside, we've got a race on our hands, and it's on paper it's a one-stop, but most of these guys are probably on controller, so the tire wear will be worse. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see quite a few two-stoppers, even though it's the longest pit lane on the calendar. You really want to try and avoid that second stop, but I think a lot of these drivers will not have a choice. Yep. Albon is winning. You heard it here first. And last, probably, but I'll pull up my my Albon win speech. I prepare it ahead of every race now. I've written it a few weeks ago for when he wins. Haven't used it yet, of course. And then he almost won on the week I was not there, which would have really upset me. Winning on track when he's lapped by everyone else. Oh. Prove them wrong. Prove the haters wrong. But you also said you didn't have a hard tire to catch. Oh, here we go already. The lights are out and we're on the way for the British Grand Prix. Totally caught me off guard there. But Balabotan leads the way ahead of Harry in towards turn 1. We go wheel to wheel. Not anymore. The Aston Martin is just ahead of the kick-out. A bit of a connection issue there as Barney in P3. Then Alpha Eyeball already up to P4 with the two drivers right behind. Harry tries to go around the outside of Balabotan, but unable to get the exit right. Barney also having a look at the kick shower. Harry very close to the back now of the Aston Martin. Looks like Michael's gone off in the background in the Haas. He has spun around on the exit of turn 4. But Balamoten has remained the lead of the race ahead of Harry. Then it's Barney, Alpha I1 and P4, the two Ferraris, 5th and 6th. Barney through Sterry Bits, Hyper and Ozone. And looks like Arbon has already had some trouble at the start. He's down to P17. Doesn't look like he's going to be winning this race then. Unless he has a incredible charge back through the field for the remaining 25 laps. And he's fighting it out with the rookie ahead. And he's not going to dare try and make it go wheel to it through Megas and back. It says Aaron P17, then it's Nexer, Skinner P19. Not a great start for me either. And Michael, the big loss then of this opening lap, finds himself at the back in P20 unfortunately. But at the front it's Balamoten by 0.6 of a second towards Harry. Then it's Barney and Alpha I1, the top 4 as we start the second lap. My favorite commentator says, it's good, ironic, as Balamoten goes quick and Mahmoudev is not, because he's got 1.5 seconds already towards Alpha I1. So we already got a 4-way fight on our hands. Looks like it's going to be between these 4 for the race win. I think I'm able to predict that early on in the race that it's going to be a 4-way fight. Everyone else is already out of the fight. With Mahmoudev in P5, Dark Assassin, Wardy and Blitz Hyper. It's a long train of cars. Arbon is still fighting it out with the Aston Martin. He finally has got the position for good now. But now he has a gap of 1.6 seconds to bridge towards Helix. Can't wait to reunite tomorrow. Oh yeah, actually. How do you say? I didn't even... I forgot we're doing it again tomorrow. After what feels like an eternity. It's going to be good fun as well, but Harry is close to the back, getting closer and closer, and he pulls to the outside. Are we going to see a change of lead? Yellow flags in the background. Dark Assassin seems to have gone off through Maggots and Backers. There's contact between the two leaders, and Balamoten goes off track as he makes contact with Harry through Stowe, and he drops down to P3 as a result of that. Harry is now in the lead of the race out of Barney, and Balamoten just dropped down to P3. Lucky to still be in this train as there was contact between himself and the Sauber. But what happened to Dark Assassin, who went off through Maggots and Backers? He's got big front wing damage for the man third in the championship. That was the last thing he needed, starting off in a top 5 position. He pulls to the pit lane. He's going to have to replace that front wing. Takes no risk at all of getting a possible, well, 10-second penalty I was going to say, but then he ends up retiring from the race. So, well, very, very unfortunate there. Dark Assassin is our first retirement of the race. Here on lap 3, wow. Already so much action so early on. Jesus finds himself inside the top 10. Of course he does. In this train behind Wardy now, because Mahmoudev, yeah, actually Mahmoudev has closed the gap towards top 4. Because of that moment at the end of the final, the previous lap, he was able to close that gap down to under a second now. And now it's Wardy who doesn't have the DRS. Here comes Barney trying to go around the outside of Harry into the same corner where it went wrong on the previous lap. Barney has to go off track as he tries to fight it out with the kick Sauber. And Harry remains in the lead of this race for now. As we go on to lap 4, big moment there for the McLaren coming out of the final corner. Towards there he gets ahead of Blitz Hyper into that final corner. Not really a usual place where you've seen overtake, but the Haas driver has made it work on his return. And now can try and chase after Wardy. The gap is just under 1 second. So we should have the DRS and close the gap down. 3 drivers are on the hards as Barney and Harry fight it out once again, and this time Barney has got the position and now he's taking the lead of this race. Harry still has half a look at the inside though on the exit of Luffield, but Barney now in the lead of this race in the McLaren. P3 on the grid to the race lead on lap 4. Harry follows closely and runs slightly wide there through Cobb's corner. Balabot on in P3 by half a second. And Alpha Highball and Mahmudev. But I was gonna say, 3 drivers on hards. It's Jesus, Godzilla and the Darken. Everyone else on those mediums. Down into the braking zone of the final chicane. Barney defending his position. And look how much he's holding up the cars behind. Harry almost pushing the McLaren through the final corner. And it's now really close to the back, and is he going to try and go and lunge it up the inside into Village? Yes, he is. Late from the brakes. Barney doesn't fight it, and knows he's going to have the DRS for the next straight. So Harry back into the lead. But for how much longer is Barney going to try and re-overtake? Potentially at the end of this lap. Or will Harry be able to hold on to that position for at least one lap, a full lap? Gap is now 1.4 seconds towards Wardy. He's closing the gap a little bit towards the cars ahead, but not by too much, and he will lose out a few more tenths on the next straight due to the cars ahead of him having the DRS and he does not. But it's now 1.0. Slowly but surely closing the gap towards that train. As Mahmudev has to look up the inside of Alpha Highway, but he thinks the better of it. Then decides to stay behind for now. And Wardy might be able to get within DRS range if he gets a good exit out of the final corner. Yes, he has. So the DRS train has been extended towards all the way back to Jesus in P10. And Jesus, he's on the hards. As Nexer with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he becomes our second retirement on lap 6. Quite unfortunate then. And an early exit for the V-Guard driver. I said Wardy was going to have the DRS, but it looks like he has just fallen out of it a little bit there. But he has saved up a little bit of battery to close the gap back down to under a second. It seems like he's running a bit higher wings compared to the cars ahead of him, at least Mahmudev. As Twosteri is now almost dropping outside DRS range. Wardy is now within DRS range of the car's head as Balabot, and he's dropped out. Still got the DRS, but the gap is almost over a second towards Barney, and Harry and Barney very close to the back of the Sauer, make contact as we go into the braking zone of the final chicane. Is he going to try and go up the inside and wheel to wheel stop? Very close between these two. In the background there's contact as well between Balabot and Alpha Hive Wallace. They fight it out of the final chicane side by side through what probably is the tightest part of the track. Then somehow they still stay in the same position as they went to that chicane, with Harry and Barney in P1 and P2, and Balabot still ahead of Alpha and Ball in P3. But very close stuff between those drivers, and that allows Wardy and Twosteri Blitzharp to close the gap towards under 1 second. And Ozon is outside of DRS range as Barney now goes off track, fighting it out with Harry, too late on the brakes. And the Sauber still stays ahead of the McLaren driver, but it's getting feisty out there on lap 7 of 26. Mahmudev almost going up the inside of Alpha Highball into Gop's corner. That for sure would have ended in tears. But clever decision there to back out. Here we go again. He's going to have to go around the outside again to win towards Stowe, and Barney has much more speed around the outside. What a beautiful move by Barney. Goes round the outside of Stowe of Harry and takes the lead of this race. Harry now with the switchback is going to try and go alongside into the final corner onto the curb. Barney gives him the space to be fair to him, but still go wheel to wheel on the Hamilton straight. And Barney does get the position as a few doors already putting the pit lane at the end of lap 7. But what a fight between these two, and Harry sends one at the inside in towards turn 3. But the McLaren driver stays ahead for now. But what a battle between these two for the lead of this race. It's Ozan, Lennons and Arbon who pull into the pit lane at the end of lap 7. So a double stack for Red Bull. That is suboptimal. So Arbon must have lost a bit of time with that. 4 seconds behind Lennons, who has gone to medium, so that confirms a 2-stop for Lennons. Look at the pace that Barney's got. Harry is through his tires, it seems. No grip left on these mediums. The gap's 1.2 towards our new race leader Barney. Harry goes out wide and picks up a penalty. A 3-second time penalty for track limits, and he's also going to pull into the pit lane. Slows it down enough in order not to pick up a 10-second penalty. Balaban follows him behind in the Aston Martin. Everyone else is continuing on for at least another lap. As they will come out of the pit lane ahead of Ozan and Lennons by a few seconds. Yellow flags ahead. Aaron has had a spin out of turn 4 as his teammate fights his way past Skinner on the exit of Lovefield. Is he going to be ahead? Yes, he is. The Mercedes ahead of the Williams. And they fight it out once again. Barney pulls to the pit lane and there's contact between Zelix and Skinner, and Zelix is sent half around there by the Williams. He's going to pull into the pit lane, but that could have cost him a lot of time in the Mercedes. But Barney is pulled into the pit lane to put on a set of hearts to try and make it to the end of this race. And where is he going to come out compared to Harry? The undercut is quite powerful. But is it powerful enough to see Harry regain the lead of this race? Oh, it's going to be close on the exit. They're almost going to be wheel to wheel, but Barney stays ahead. Oh, Harry trying to go for the move there. The McLaren is ahead. Now Harry with the better traction, with the better tire temperature, is going to try and go round the outside on the exit of turn 4. And he gets the move done. Harry back ahead of the McLaren and back into the virtual race lead. Barney slots in between Harry and Balabotan, who now he's got the DRS again towards the car ahead of him. And I think it is Barney's debut in Tier 3. I'm not sure why I thought he has driven here before. The name sounds familiar in Tier 3, but I guess he hasn't raced here. More drivers putting into the pit lane. This time it's Blitz Hyper and Tourist Terry. Alpha Ball still continuing on as Skinner picks up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not the first one to do so. I did it myself yesterday. Twice actually. Very, very painful. Blitz Hyper, they're all gonna come out behind this trio, and Balaboton is going to send one up the inside there of Barney. But the McLaren has the outside line and is able to stay ahead of the Aston Martin, who is on the mediums, which should be quicker. And Barney gets out of the way there. He lets the Aston Martin through, and Balaboton now in between Harry and Barney. Zelix now with a 3-second time penalty, so he wanted to finish his race without a penalty. He hasn't succeeded with that, unfortunately, but he did make it almost through the halfway point of the race without a penalty, so it is something, it's an improvement. Alpha Highball Championship leader now pulls into the pit lane to go into the hard as well, and he will be coming out behind Harry, Balaboton and Barney. But will he be ahead of Lennons, his direct rival in the championship? I checked it again, and Barney has raced here before. It was at Singapore. So that's why it was familiar. Oh, big moment there for Toursterry, and Alpha Ball almost running into the back of the Haas there as he gets pushed through the corner there by Blitz Hyper. That's contact, and Alpha Ball gets sent off track there. Our championship leaders lost a lot of positions. Is even behind Arbel now, who pitted 4 laps ago. Alpha Ball down to P12. That was the last thing he needed in this race. He's now going to try and go around the outside of the Red Bull, trying to perform a switchback, but hasn't got the grip yet on his cold hard tires. But he got forced off the road there by the Sauber through turn 4. Not quite sure what happened there. Looked very strange. These three still out there. The gap is 7 seconds towards Lennons. Then it's Ozon and Tourster, and that is how much Alpha Highball has lost. Because Alpha Highball was in the train with Balaboton, Harry and Barney before he pitted, before they all pitted. And now he's like 10 seconds behind those guys. It's just insane how much he's lost with the overcut. Oh, Tourster there. Bit of a internet issue there, as he almost he teleported there. Looking to find a way past Lennons, who's on the mediums for 5 laps. Tourster gets the better exit. Now on the inside of turn 5, he will have the DRS, which should be able to put him ahead of the McLaren to the braking zone of turn 6, and he does. So Tourster at the P6 behind. It's Blitz Hyper getting past Ozon. Now finds himself fighting it out with Mahmudev in the Ferrari in P10. Now gets ahead of Ozon is up to P9 as they run slightly wide there. Arbon as well, really wide in the background, struggling with the dirty air. Once again running wide there, that allows Alpha Highball to potentially get past, and he does, and so does Wardy. Arbon getting swallowed there, down to P13 he goes. As Lennons drops behind Mahmudev now, and is going to pull into the pit lane. After only 5 laps on the mediums. The McLaren drivers into the pit lane again. So Jesus now in the lead of this race on the hards. He's 11 seconds ahead of Harry and Balabotan. But he still has to pit. Has to go onto the mediums in a few laps time. It's gonna be a similar scenario to 2 weeks ago at Canada. Well, before the safety car was deployed, where he was the last driver to pull into the pit lane as well, going for the alternative strategy, hards and mediums. But when that safety car came out, it really helped him out, and then he finished second from what was 18th on the grid, if I remember correctly. 17th on the grid. As Ozan now picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. And Mahmudev has half a look up the inside of Blitz Hyper, and it allows him to get him through. Blitz Hyper getting scared of the road there a little bit by the Ferrari. And is now down to P7. Whoa! Arbon spinning out of the final corner there. Nice drift as he gets back on track. Well, not when you do that. Spinning around once again. Careful there on throttle. The Mercedes down to P18, not having a great time here at Silverstone. Meanwhile, at the other end of the field, it is Jesus in the lead. The gap is now 8.4. 8.3 is losing a lot of time every single lap, like 1-2 seconds towards Harry. But he has to continue on. You really don't want to do any more laps, more than 10 laps. He's going to have to do that though. At the end of lap 15, he pulls to the pit lane. It's going to be 11 laps on mediums for Jesus. It's going to be easier said than done. Let's see where he's going to come out. I think he will be in P12 behind his teammate. Yes, he will be. Let's see where he's going to be in 11 laps time at the finish. And Balabotan is in second place, but he still has to make a pit stop. There's no way he's making another 10 laps on these mediums. The mediums only last around 10 laps, 11 if you're really good on tire wear, 12. As Aaron now retires from the race as well. Comes our third retirement after 16 laps. Actually, the pit win is lap 12, isn't it? From mediums to hard, so I guess you can do 12 laps. But definitely not 17. So I do wonder when it's going to pull to the pit lane now. Now's the answer. Balabotan at the end of lap 16 pulls into the pit lane for his second pit stop. Going for a different strategy compared to the drivers around him. And which tire is he going to go on to? It's going to be a brand new set of hards. And he's not the only one coming to the pit lane. Ozan behind as well, who started on the hards. Who switched to the hards 9 laps ago. He's going to go for the double stack, the 2-stop. Arbon is probably going to have to do the same, but I know that he's got the balanced tire allocation, so he's going to have to go mediums for his final stint, which means he has to stay out for at least 2-3 more laps to be able to make it to the end. So not a great time to be Arbon in this race. As Jesus is going to try and sail it around the outside there of Luffield, and he does so. Up to P9. Finds himself inside the top 10 right behind his teammate, who shouldn't make it too difficult for Jesus. Probably will get past on the next straight with the help of DRS and slipstream. Then he can try and chase after Wardy. The gap is 2.3 seconds between the RB and the Williams. Mahmudev gets ahead of Toursteris now into a podium position as the two Williams drivers swap around. And Jesus is up into P8. He can't push too much on these stars though, because he needs to make it to the end. And he still got through 8 more laps. Fastest lap of the race though, 29.4. I say 8 more laps, 9 more laps on these mediums. It has left Harry and Barney out in front to fight it out for the lead. Harry though, he has got a 3-second time penalty. And Barney does not. So Barney doesn't need to overtake the Sauber to win this race. It's definitely going to be between these two. Although, I do wonder if Harry is going to be able to keep his tires alive. Because he pitted on lap 9 onto the hards as Barney is getting close to the back. He's going to try and go around the outside into Stowe like he did a few laps ago. Not this time though, because Harry is going to pull to the pit lane. There he goes. I said it was going to be difficult for him to make it to the end on these stars. And he is going for the 2-stop as well. With 8 laps to go. It has left Barney out there alone in the lead as Arbon a 10-second time penalty, just like I did. Unlucky. Harry comes out in P12 right behind Balaboton, and he's on the mediums. He's going to have to do 8 laps on those mediums, just like he did in his first stint. And he really dropped off in the final few laps of that stint. Balaboton gets ahead of Michaels up to P10 now. And after all, R5 will now finds himself in a P4 position. 1.4 behind Toursteris on the podium. Mahmudev is in P2. As Blitz Hyper right behind picks up a penalty. Fighting out now with Wardy and Jesus, who has closed the gap. But unable to get past on this lap. 7 laps to go. Is Barney going to be able to make it to the end on these stars? He's got the older stars on the grid right now. He will have to do 17 laps on the hards. It might be dangerous towards puncture territory on the final few laps. It's going to be close for the McLaren driver. He's got 7.5 second gap towards Mahmudev, who has got a 2-lap tire advantage. Harry and Balaboton both trying to charge through the field. They have got an 8.5 second gap to bridge towards the top 8. but they have got much better tires compared to those drivers. Could be close on the final 2 laps. Half a second gain there by Mahmoudev. 7.1. 6 laps to go. Barney's still holding on. Holding on to his tires. We're getting worse. Lap by lap. And the gap is shrinking towards Mahmoudev. Jesus is unable to get past these drivers. They're in a DRS frame behind Alpha Hype Wall. And Blitz Hyper can't get past Alpha Hype Wall. Wardy can't get past Blitz Hyper. And Jesus can't get past Wardy. So he's losing quite a bit of time in this train. Has to use a lot of battery to try and find a way past, but still cannot pull it off. And is currently stuck in P7. Harry and Malaboton has gained a second and a half towards those drivers. Jesus, really close to the back now of Wardy. Almost putting his car alongside through Cobb's corner. But he knows that will never work out. Another second gained by Mahmoudev. He is really hunting that gap down towards Barney. .8. 5 laps to go. Is he going to be able to hold on to secure his first ever win here in Revolution? Will his tires hold on for these final 5 laps? Is the gap big enough to defend against Mahmoudev? Ozan retires in pit lane. 4 retirements now with 5 laps to go. Second retirement in a row there for Ozan. And once again looks to be a pointless race for Red Bull. Jesus has fallen behind a little bit. He knows that his tires are beyond its peak. He's still on 6-7 laps already. And he won't really have much of an advantage anymore in these final few laps. Wardy runs out wide a little bit there though, through Chapel. But it doesn't lose enough time for Jesus to potentially go for the attack. As Malaboton with a 3-second time penalty as well now. Whilst Harry and him have closed 2 more seconds towards Skinner, 5.2 seconds. And look at the gap at the front, 4.7. 4 laps to go. He needs to gain 1 second on each lap. And he'll be at the back of Barney. But does he need to be? Because look at that front left tire. There is not a lot left in that tire. Look at the graining. He's gonna have to be so careful through the right-handers, especially through corners like Scops. Still attacking through such a high-speed corner. Has to keep the tires alive for 3 more laps after this one. There's no point in pitting now. Just try and make it to the end. The gap is 3.8. Almost another second gained by Mahmoudev. Neither of these drivers have won a race before in Revolution. But that might change in 3 laps time. Is it going to be Barney? Or is it going to be Mahmudev? As we go on to lap 24 of 26, as Jesus fights it out with Blitz Hyper through the final corner. He's got past Vardy already. And now he's going to get past the Sauber through turn 1. Brilliant move there, and he's up to P5. Now Vardy sends it up the inside as well, and he forces the Sauber driver off track there a little bit. Puts his elbows out. And he's now to P6. As Alpha won in the meantime, he's stolen the final spot on the podium from Tuasteri, unfortunately, for Trui, who on his return was looking for a podium finish, but looks like he's going to have to settle for P4 potentially. Harry and Balaboto, the gap is 2 seconds now towards Skinner. Mahmudev, he's not really gaining a lot of time anymore. Both their front left absolutely dead. 3.2 seconds now. Only have 2 laps to go. It would be very impressive if Barney makes it to the end on these tires. 15 laps he's been on these hards. Just 2 more in this race. Harry's now at the back of Skinner. 1 second is the gap. And for sure he's going to be able to get past. If not on this lap, then surely on the next lap. But we're keeping an eye out on our 2 race leaders. Keeping an eye out on that front left tire on the McLaren for 1.5 laps. And the same for the Ferrari, because he will be getting into critical laps of tire as well. And Tuasteri in B4, 14 laps on his hards. Alpha will 13 laps. But that should be enough to make it to the end. These 15 laps though will be tricky. The gap is shrinking again towards Mahmudev. Another second gained, 2.5 seconds. But there's only 1 more lap. Barney is going to be limping at home as he goes into the final lap of this race. Lap 26 of 26, and the gap is 2.6 between our 2 race leaders. Will it be enough for Barney? All Mahmudev can hope for is that the McLaren driver gets a puncture. But at the moment it's still looking good for our race leader, who is on course to win his first ever race in Revolution in only his 2nd ever Tier 3 appearance. I don't know if he's driven in any other tier, because if it's his 2nd ever race only here in Revolution, it would be very impressive if he wins this one. Half a lap to go. These corners are the killers though, for your front left. But he's made it through these. Into the final sector. Looks like Barney has made it. Just Stowe and the final chicane. As the McLaren driver, with 3 corners to go, has nursed his tires home, and Barney is gonna cross the line to win the British Grand Prix. Barney wins for the first time in Revolution, and Mahmudev finishes a very strong 2nd place. Alpha Ball, our championship leader, finishes in P3. Tuasteri in P4, just in P5. But yes, McLaren have won a race again in this season. The team who last week only scored 11 points across all tiers will score at least 25 today in Tier 3. McLaren win, and it is Barney on top here in Silverstone. Mahmudev, Alpha World Tour Stereo Jesus, Wardy in P6, the two Saubers of Blitz Hyper and Harry 7 and 8, Balaboten in 9, Michael in 10th place, Skinner in P11, and Lennons will score the final point in the other McLaren. So at least 26 then. What a phenomenal drive from Barty. Incredible tire management, pulled off some great moves on Harry earlier on. With a brilliant fight with Balaboten as well. And he held off the fast approaching Mahmudev in the final few laps. Nursed his tires to the finish. And he is a new race winner in Revolution. Fastest lap point will go towards Harry. Balaboten gets the pole position point. But these are your official results. Another great race, another entertaining race here at Silverstone. And I sure enjoyed it after a week break. Next week though, we return in the UK again for Silverstone, but the reverse layout. That is going to be very, very interesting how these drivers are going to tackle that. So looking forward to see that race. Might become a little bit chaotic for a track that was new to everyone on this game, but that is something for next week. That's it all from me tonight. I hope you will enjoy to tune into the stream. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next week.